Okay, it is now 7 o'clock. We will call the City Council meeting to order.
There is one councilor absent. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Special orders and announcements?
There are none.
Public hearings.
There are four this evening. The first one is the proposed ordinance amending the future land use map of the City of Beloit Comprehensive Plan to change the future land use designation for the property located at 631, 640, 654, and 657 Bluff Street from R1B Single Family Residential to C1 Office District.
Ms. Christensen.
So these three properties are located on Bluff Street between St. Lawrence and Locust, and were noted on the future land use plan of the comprehensive plan as single-family residential. One of those properties is 640 Bluff Street. Well, they're actually all in the historic district. But 640 Bluff Street is an apartment building, and it has been vacant for a year because the city declared it unfit over a year ago. It was foreclosed on by the bank, and there is no way to convert that structure to a single unit. It is 3 floors, it is U-shaped, it's got a courtyard. There's just no possible way. So we've kind of put our heads together to figure out if there was a way to allow it to be used for multifamily, while at the same time kind of protecting the neighborhood that wanted this whole area downzone single family. So we identified a district which includes the 640 Bluff Street parcel plus the parking lot next door, the chiropractor office, the church, I can't think what's United Church of Christ, I think, and Grinnell Hall. It was formal Second Congregational Church. And we did reach out to all of them and propose the C1 Office District. The C1 Office District, this is the first step for the future land use plan of the comprehensive plan, but the C1 zoning, which would follow, would make the multifamily conditional, so it would allow the neighborhood an opportunity to weigh in on it during a public process. The others who are part of this action were not opposed to it. It actually takes some properties, some of which would have been non-conforming, and made them either permitted or conditional in the district. The church's comment was as long as retail wasn't allowed, he was fine. And we talked to Paula at Grinnell, and she was okay with it. We moved forward with this application. I think this will maintain the integrity of the neighborhood while at the same time allow the reuse of this structure, historic structure. Because we've, as the Landmarks Commission could tell you, we've torn down way too many historic structures over the years. So this is on your agenda for a public hearing and first reading tonight. You can lay it over under the rules, and then if this is approved, we will bring back a zoning action at a later time.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so if anybody would like to speak to this issue, please step forward now. Go ahead. Please introduce yourself and give your address, please.
I'm James Coots. I live at 2433 Skyline Drive in Beloit, and I'm here in a couple of capacities to talk about support of the rezoning. First of all, I'm the moderator officer of the United Church of Beloit at 657 Bluff Street, and we are in favor of the rezoning. It takes the church from a conditional use within the residential zoning to a legal use under C1. So we're certainly in favor of that. We're also concerned with the neighborhood there, with the, in both speaking as a representative of the church, but also as a real estate appraiser who recently appraised the apartment building across the street at 640 Bluff Street. We're concerned that it's been sitting vacant for over a year, that it needs to be, for somebody to buy it and to put some money into it and get it back in good shape. It's going to have to be, I believe it's going to have to be an apartment building, and C1 facilitates that as a conditional use within the C1 district. So, and across the street from us is, I believe, a chiropractic clinic which would fit into the C1 and the senior center. So it seems to be a good change, a positive change for the neighborhood and for our street, and we're certainly in support of it. I'm hoping as a real estate appraiser in the city that, you know, I don't have any interest in the building, but it would be nice to see it back and used in a positive, the apartment building in a positive manner, and somebody would be able to buy it and legally get it back up. It was listed for over a year for sale, and for some reason they weren't able to get the price down, probably owed too much against it, and I'm guessing, but they need it. When the bank gets title to it, if they haven't already, I'm sure you'll see it on the market, and it'll facilitate its sale to have it rezoned. So that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Coos. Second call for anybody who would like to speak to the proposed ordinance change. Third and final call. That will close the public hearing on proposed ordinance change. Is there a motion? Moved by DeForest, seconded by Sloniker. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. B.
Item B is 2017 Community Development Block Grant, Proposed Budget, and 2017 Annual Action Plan.
Ms. Christensen.
Dave out.
Okay. Ms. Duncan will excuse herself and come back after the... Go ahead.
The PowerPoint gonna... Or am I not? It just went black. Push it back.
Did you guys attention? Doing it.
Can you speak? I know you have your chart and your...
I don't have a copy of the PowerPoint, so I can't go through it unless you give me one. All right, Eric.
Oh, and it's not the number. Here's the feedback.
It was up there, and then...
Well, I can walk through it. So this is the night for the public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan and Proposed Budget for 2017. Each year, the city is required to submit an annual action plan because we get funds annually from HUD. This is the year where we just submit the annual action plan, and this is it. It is included in your packet. It is about 50 or plus pages. It is essentially a template that we're required to fill in. The 5-year plan, which was done a couple of years ago, lays out what's going to happen for 5 years, and this is just a continuation of that, so there's been no dramatic changes. It's kind of business as usual. The CDA did review this and did recommend approval at their September meeting, and also at that meeting they approved a community development block grant budget. Yay! Try to slide before that. First slide. The first slide. So where's my? I'm sorry, I haven't seen this since I did it, so I had a front slide that's not in there. So essentially what HUD required us to do, there was a rule change at the end of 2015, which kind of changed how our caps are established. So the public service cap is the same, but the planning cap used to be 20% of your grant plus your program income, and now it's 20% of your grant plus and also 20% of your grant and program income. And what that means is that for our planning and admin kind of cap, we have to use some program income to fund that if we're going to go to the 20%. So the way we presented it to you this year, originally I planned to have a slide that kind of showed you that. These are the public service agencies, and you'll see they're entirely funded with grant dollars. They don't earn any program income, and we didn't allocate any program income to them. This was a recommendation by CDA, which is essentially $5,000 for Beloit Meals on Wheels, Community Actions Mentoring and Fatherhood Initiative, $28,475, Domestic Violence Center, $7,100, Home Companion Registry, $12,000, Hands of Faith, $10,000, Health Nut, $10,000, House of Mercy, $7,500, Latino Service Providers Coalition, $4,500, Merrill Center, $12,000, Project 1649, $7,500, and the Literacy Council, $10,000. I didn't include this in the packet, but it will be in your packet when you take action. We did a little table which you can have tonight if you'd like, which gives the applicant name, whether a funding priority was met, and then which funding priority is met. I had gone through the applications and done this exercise first, took it to the CDA, they reviewed it, and actually changed some of the things I marked, and went through the funding priority list. And I know Councilor DeForest specifically had kind of requested that they take this seriously, and I think they did. I know you're still seeing funding for everybody, but they were very thoughtful about this. The meeting started at 4:30, probably took about a half hour for Housing Authority business, and they met till almost 7 o'clock that night. Yeah, we can, it's just that it's not for action, so I wasn't so worried about it being in the packet. But they were, which in the past several years they haven't taken the time, but they really, I felt Regina was there, they were very thoughtful about it and discussed each application and why they felt it met a funding priority and why they felt it was important to fund, and they shifted dollars around quite a bit from where we started. And then the non-public service programs, which the 20% cap is at $152,100, and then we're showing the Code Enforcement Inspection Program, the Housing Rehab Revolving Loan Fund, and the Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund. The Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund program has money in there already that's not on this slide, which is currently coming in during the year. They're anticipating $17,000 coming in 2017, and so that is what we're showing for the 2017 year. So then you have a line which shows your non-public service activities and then your total public service activities. So we are anticipating $550,000 in new dollars, which we don't know at this time because the federal budget isn't approved. Based on what we're seeing come in so far, we anticipate $210,500 in program income, which is up slightly on the housing rehab side and down slightly on the economic development side because Andrew had a loan paid off. And then the rest are about kind of what we're seeing come in, business as usual. And then this shows you the actual totals just for the program income that are coming in, and then your total grant. This was the slide that I thought was at the top, which showed $550,000 is your grant, how the $210,500 is divided up for a total budget of $760,500. So this is your the day of your public hearing on the CDBG budget and the annual action plan. There'll be no action tonight. This will be on your next agenda. I think it's November 7th for action. And what's presented here tonight is the CDA recommendation.
Thank you. We'll open the public hearing. Anybody who'd like to comment? First call. Step forward. Your name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Ian Hedges, and I reside at 3116 South Flack Road. I'm the Executive Director for HealthNet of Rock County, and I just wanted to sincerely thank you for the opportunity to give public comment, but also for your previous support of our programs. The City of Beloit has actually made a continual investment in our services, and I can guarantee that this investment has significantly improved the health and lives of patients who reside in Beloit. That's why 94% of anything that comes in, not necessarily with grants, but any donations, they go right directly back to low-income patients. For those of you who are not aware, HealthNet actually addresses a solid objective in Rock County by providing primary medical, dental, and vision care to persons who are at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. HealthNet actually meets the needs of low-income residents, uninsured and underinsured. We have provided services which will assist in the creation of a first-class, livable community for all. and within that, we do aim to stabilize neighborhoods and ensure people can have financial security as to not experience insecurity in food or housing. Last month, we actually saw this with a patient who was having issues not being able to afford diabetic medication, and they would have either destroyed their health further, causing more uncompensated costs, or they would have been unable to pay the portion of their rent for housing in Beloit that he shares with 2 other family members. With those investments, not only did you pay for our primary health care for most of our patients, you also were able to help us dispense $1.5 million worth of medications free to individuals who could not otherwise afford it. We also were able to open multiple pain management clinics. So because many of the people work labor-intensive jobs, we figured it was best to manage their pain so that they could get back to work. And we did it without using opiates. We actually started a network of chiropractors, physical therapists, and sports medicine doctors who assist with cortisone injection clinics. We also started many new innovative programs to treat mental illness among our patients. Because chronic conditions and also the conditions in our neighborhoods deteriorate when underlying mental health disorders are not treated. That is why we kind of started a integrated behavioral health care program, which allows us to screen for depression and many other mental illnesses and treat it within our setting. And until last year, we only served the uninsured, but we noticed that others in the community, even in Beloit, who had public insurance, still might not have access to services that they need for them to thrive. While there's 16,000 people who are uninsured in this county, there are 27,500 individuals with Badger Care who were not able to access dental care last year. That is why on July 1st, we actually moved our dental clinic from becoming 20 hours a week to 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. With this, we have seen tremendous progress and appreciation from our new patients. However, this does come at a tremendous cost, as we only receive 29 cents back from the state for every dollar that we dispense in service. The need for our service also continues because last fiscal year, we actually saw a 10% increase of our services and a 10% increase in our unique patients. So despite the progress of the Affordable Care Act, there still is a gap and there is still a need that continues among our community. In order for HealthNet to kind of maintain our level of service and continue our progress, we support the allocation that the Community Development Authority has voted and approved on us. Without this funding, we would see HealthNet patients going back to the emergency room for care. And we are talking millions of dollars of uncompensated care that would fall onto our health systems and fall back on consumers who do pay their health systems through private insurance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Second call for anybody who'd like to speak to the budget. Third and final call. That'll close the public hearing. There'll not be a vote on this because this will be laid over.
Can I ask a
Go ahead.
question, though, just so when it comes back, so you're prepared. When you bring this back to us, could you let us know how the CDA defined case management strategies? There's some agencies on here that were funded under meeting the case management strategy priority, and that's not evident to me how they provide case management services. So if there could be a little bit more fleshed out about.
Regina could probably speak to that, but essentially that they felt like if they had a person who was working with a family to help them with their needs and help connect them to services, that they were providing case management. So that's how they viewed that funding's priority.
So when they provide a quarterly report to you, in that quarterly report, will they be held accountable for showing how they connected the families with resources if they're doing that case management?
They'll be tracking how they've met that funding priority.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Julie? Thank you, Julie. There'll be no action on this then?
Nope, I'm just the next item, so I'm staying up here.
Okay. Yes, Regina can come.
Andrew Skinner.
Item 4C is the 2017 Home Investment Partnerships Proposed Budget.
I just hit the right a second ago.
Ms. Christensen.
It's done.
Okay, it's just slow. Was that my first slide? Okay. Okay, so this, as you all know, because we've been doing this for a long time, City of Beloit is a member of the Rock County Home Consortium, which includes the cities of Beloit and Janesville and Rock County. For the last 15 years, this was the year, starting in 17, to reconsider our intergovernmental agreement with Rock County and Janesville. And as we were doing that, HUD determined that all of the municipalities in Rock County had to be party to the agreement. So starting in 17, we're all a party to the agreement. As part of the agreement, we shifted it from being a CHOTO in Beloit, which was the 15% off the top, to a CHOTO in Rock County. So we're not considering those dollars from here on out. But as a result, we also got an increased amount of funds to the city. So we received 19% in the past, now we're receiving 28%. So based on what we received in 16, I gave you some numbers, which would estimate that we'd get $133,000 in new home grant funds. We estimate about $100,000 in home program income, which is a conservative estimate, kind of based on our loan repayments, and then $14,725 in home rehab admin dollars. And the CDA did recommend using the new funds and program income in the West Side target area for new construction, or for owner-occupied rehab projects on a citywide basis. And this just kind of lays out the same thing, but in a chart. So $475,000 is what we got this year into Rock County through the Home Consortium. And there would be our share, the home program income. Why I said that could change is because 1009 Central, I think that's the right address, we are just completing and will be listed for sale shortly. And then we've got 349 Euclid and 310 Euclid. So if all of those got done and all of them were completed, there would be more program income than that, which is why, even though there's a small amount, we show new construction and owner-occupied rehab projects. So the total that would be available for those type of projects would be $233 unless there was more program income. And then that additional program income would also go towards these. So the total amount is $247,725 that would come into Beloit. And tonight is the night for your public hearing. You'll take action on this at your next meeting. So that's it.
Thank you. Public hearing will now open for the Home Investment Partnerships proposed budget. First call. Second call. Third and final call. That'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Moved by?
We're not acting.
I'm sorry.
Not acting.
Next meeting.
I do have a question, though.
Yes. Mr. Forrest.
I wanted to check, are the home dollars, does it stipulate they're only allowed to be used for owner-occupied, or the CDA decided to only use owner-occupied?
We've recommended that we only use them for the owner-occupied rehab. We have CDBG funds for rental rehab, and we still have some old WRRP, which is Wisconsin Rental Rehab Program. And the home regulations for rental are really strict, and there's a lot of administrative time because you have to review landlord leases. You have to monitor them to make sure that they're not doing anything that's predatory. There's a lot of administrative time in the home program for rental, more than there is for CDBG. And so it's in terms of you only get 10% admin out of home. It's just not enough we don't have enough admin dollars in there to have that be rental. So what we've done is had the home program be owner-occupied rehab, and then we haven't had any problem meeting the rental rehab loan needs of the landlords with our CDBG and WRRP funds.
Okay, so you haven't had more requests than you have funding for in the other pot of funding? Okay.
No, we've never had an issue with that. So
All right.
We continue to make rental loans, and we like to have that nice balance between rental and owner-occupied because for a number of years, for like a good chunk of the years that I worked here, the council decided that they were going to limit all the rental rehab loans to 25%. And as a result, over time, there were less installment loans, and so there was less income coming in. And then, because when I first came in '99, we had 600 plus in program income each year, and as those installment loans got paid off, and the good chunk of the owner rehab loans are deferred, and so then you end up having a huge loan portfolio, but not much money coming in. So you need to have that balance, some rental, some owner occupied, and so that's how we use the funding sources.
Okay, great, thank you.
When the chair recognizes somebody, just please push your button, you'll control the speaker on it. Okay, go to D.
Moving on to D is 2017 operating library and capital improvement proposed budgets.
Mr. Miller.
Good evening.
Evening.
Right, so we have the public hearing tonight for the proposed 2017 operating and capital budgets. We presented to you the budgets 2 weeks ago. That budget has been posted online since that time. We did hold the council workshop last Monday, which I thought went very well, by the way. And the document has not changed since the conclusion of that workshop. And so with that, I will just run through a couple of summary slides and some budget highlights. Okay, so these are some slides that you have seen before, but you can see that we have a total decrease in the grand total of all funds budget of $427,000, which is about 0.44% reduction from the 2016 budget. The general fund budget alone was an increase of $352,000, which was made up primarily of the tax levy increase, which was related directly to the net new construction number, which I'll touch on a little bit later. The enterprise fund budgets increased by $306,000 to $18.5 million over last year. So this slide just shows a summary of all the budget types in summary format. Again, you can see the negative 0.44% reduction in a grand total. In operating budgets, there was an increase of $2.5 million, but all of that was offset by the reduction in the capital improvement budget, which is why you're showing the reduction of $427,000. So some of the highlights that we had to deal with as we were going through the budget. This is, the first item there is an increase in half of an FTE by funding only. There is no additional FTEs in the fire department. It's still the same as it was last year. This is just a funding source change from a grant funded program into the general fund. And that was a half an FTE. We had to do that to remain in compliance with the SAFER grant, which currently funds 3 full-time firefighters through the end of 2017. The next item there is a police department reorganization in which we were able to maintain the same number of sworn personnel as we did last year. We were able to do that by holding the deputy chief position vacant for 2017. And as we talked about last week, when the funding does become available to fund that position, it's actually going to be an inspector position instead of a deputy chief position proposed. There were some still significant vacancies that were left open in 2017, including the city assistant city manager position, which will now be going on the two years for that position being vacant, as well as a human resources analyst. And then finally, the Public Works Operations Director will remain vacant in 2017. So although we did have to keep some of those positions open, we were able to fund some positions of critical need, including an assistant city attorney position in the city attorney's office, as well as a part-time network engineer in the information technology department. So these highlights here are more of a metric that has to do with a lot of programs that are funded through the state. Our shared revenue and expenditure restraint programs have remained fairly consistent. Just the end of last week, I received notice from the state that we'll actually see a minor reduction in our shared revenue going into 2017, but nothing significant that we would have to amend the budget. It was about right where we thought it would be, but a little bit lower. The highway aids are projected to decrease again by 120,000. That had a decrease in 2016 of 160,000. So we are seeing significant reductions in that funding source. One of the positive things that we did see was the net new construction number of 2.31%. That was the second highest in Rock County, which is a tremendous accomplishment. That was up from 1.13% last year. That has a direct relationship as to what we are allowed to increase our tax levy by. And so that's why that number is so critical. Of course, with net new construction increased, you will tend to see an increase in your assessed and equalized values as well. And we did see that as 2.19 and 2.29% respectively. So back to the tax levy, you can see that we did increase it by 317,000. 236,000 of that was attributed to that net new construction number, the 2.31%. The other 81 was related directly to debt service, which the state does not have a cap on its levy. One of the other revenue streams that we wanted to increase a little bit was the change in the hotel motel tax receipts. We currently keep 10% of that number. We are proposing to increase that to 15%. State statute actually allows us to go to 30%, but we're just keeping that at 15 for now proposed. We did propose a slight cost of living adjustment for the wastewater utility of 3%. We have met for budget the last couple of years and decided that this is a kind of a normal routine process that we're going to have to look at in order to maintain and keep the infrastructure sound. And it's a way to control the increases so as to not have significant increases in individual years. We would rather show slighter cost of living type increases there. The water utility is a little bit different. We have to have permission from the PSC in order to raise rates. So we have we did go to a comprehensive water rate study this year, and we have an application in front of the PSC to increase our rates by 15%, which is absolutely vital in order to maintain that 100-year-old infrastructure to be able to provide clean, safe water to the citizens of Beloit. And finally there, the last item is a new project with the Blender Cafe. Hoping to get that constructed this winter and open in early 2017. So here's just a summary of our tax levy. You can see the 317,000 there that I spoke about earlier, which had a direct impact on the rate of 17.4 cents per thousand of assessed value, which is an increase of 1.59%. Also, you can see there that the only two items in the entire tax levy that were adjusted were the general fund, which needs to be spread out through all departments that are listed in the general fund. When you look at a $31 million general fund budget and you have $236,000 of new tax levy, that's not enough. And so that's why the net new construction number is so critical, and that's why we're so diligent on how we share that $236,000. The other $81,000 there, again, as I mentioned earlier, was debt service. So here's just a summary of our rates over the last 5 years. You can see how they have increased. Some of those increases, however, were due to assessed values actually declining back a few years ago. So the assessed value is what's used to determine what your local tax rate is. If that number decreases, your tax rate will go up inherently. So towards the latter part of the graph, those are actually more positive increases because those were based on good net new construction numbers, which we were able to then capture those dollars in the tax levy. So that did increase those rates due to net new construction. So this chart does show the equalized and the assessed values. The assessed values are what is assessed by the local assessor, except for manufacturing, and the equalized values are assessed by the state. And so you can see there in 2015-16 how those two have really come together to be more in line with each other. So the next step is the last step in the budget process. Will be the up for consideration for adoption November 7th, which is 3 weeks from tonight. So I can take any questions you might have before opening it up.
I think we'll open it for questions.
Yeah,
Thank you, Rick. First call for questions, proposed budget. Second call. Third and final call. Public hearing is closed. Any councilor comments? Thank you again, Eric. Okay, citizen, go ahead.
It's time for citizen participation.
Okay, I'd like to,
You have 2 sheets.
right. That part of the council meeting is citizens' participation. I'd like to ask anybody who'd like to speak to come up. I have 2 sheets here. I'd like to ask people to keep their comments to under 3 minutes and not do any personal attacks or disparaging comments. Okay, I think Mr. Coots spoke already.
Yeah.
And he's leaving. So Joseph Jensen. Good evening.
Good evening.
On consent agenda for JP Sports House Pub, I'd like to ask the council to table this matter until November 7th, I believe is the next meeting. We have some issues that we're still working through. I hoped to have finished up at this time, but unfortunately it wasn't. So I'd like to ask.
Okay.
I apologize for wasting your time at this time, but
It's not wasting our time. We appreciate it. When it comes to that part of the meeting, we'll take a motion and we'll follow through.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for
so
coming.
much. Thank you.
Anybody else? First call.
Hey.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Calvin Boldebuck, and I work for Congressman Mark Pocan's office in Madison. I work as his field representative, so I wanted to just come and introduce myself to the Beloit City Council and the citizens of Beloit. So our district office is based in Madison, but we do actually have an office here in this building on the 3rd floor, thanks in large part to the City Council. And I just wanted to let everyone know that every second Thursday of the month, we're here at 9:30 to 11:30. So we help constituents who are having problems with federal agencies, or if you'd like to share a concern or opinion with our office, I'd be happy to pass it along to the congressman and work to help you with any issues you may be having. Looking around the room, I see a few familiar faces, but would love to hear from you in the future, and just wanted to come to introduce myself. So.
For the audience, Congressman Pocan represents
the second congressional district. So we
in Washington, D.C. Could you just tell the audience briefly what that encompasses from Madison to Beloit? Or?
Sure. So we essentially share Rock County with Speaker Ryan. We have the entire, essentially, western half of Rock County, which includes essentially all of the city of Beloit. There's some part of the town that isn't, but all of the city is represented by Congressman Mark Pocan. In Washington, D.C. is your federal representative. So.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Forrest.
I could just
Just push your button.
I keep trying to push. If I could just clarify for the public, I know you said that Mr. Pocan has an office here in City Hall thanks to the City Council. I just want to be clear that that he has space here, but we are not funding that space. Right. He is paying for that space.
With the approval of the City Council.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure the public knew that. Don't want to take sides here.
Yeah,
so
no.
Thank you.
No. And we would do that for who's ever in office, Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
Yeah, I should have prefaced that.
It's okay.
Don't get us in trouble.
That's right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming down and introducing yourself.
Thank you for having me.
Anybody else like to speak at this time? Second call. Third and final call. Okay, that will close citizen participation.
The consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Is there a motion to remove? Go ahead. Shion? Yes, push. Okay, you're on now.
Okay. I would like to request that items B, D, and E be removed, please, Mr. President.
Anybody else? Okay, that would make items A, C, and F. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to pass A, C, and F? Moved by Hendrick, seconded by Sloniker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Okay.
So item 6B is a resolution approving the new application for Class B beer and Class B liquor license of J&P Sports House Pub LLC, of which you just heard from, at 443 East Grand Avenue.
And per his request, we will...
I'd like to make a motion to table the item and lay it over to the November 7th meeting, please, Mr. President.
Seconded by Duncan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass 6-0.
Item 6D is a resolution approving a change of agent on a Class A beer and a Class A liquor cider-only license for Speedway LLC owned by MPC Investment. This is Speedway 4087 at 148 Liberty Avenue. This is going to Catherine McWilliams for the period license ending June 30th, 2017 due to a staff change.
Yes.
You were on.
I was on.
Okay.
There's got to be a better way here. I do have several questions. I was disappointed to see in the supplemental questionnaire that the agents complete. Many of the questions received one-word answers, and some of the answers were not answered completely. Some of the questions weren't answered completely, so I'd like to make sure to be sure that those questions
Ms.
get answered.
McWilliams is here.
Thank you.
Just introduce yourself, please, and your address.
Catherine McWilliams.
Catherine
McWilliams.
Okay, and your address, please.
I'm just moving. It's going to be 115 Merrill.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here to answer the questions I have. In question 1, it asks to state in your own words how you intend to fulfill the duties that are described previously in terms of fulfilling the legal responsibilities of the liquor license. Could you share with us how you plan to fulfill the duties to make sure that your employees are selling alcohol legally?
Right now, Speedway has a policy. We card everybody, and during the carding, we card for tobacco and alcohol. So no matter the age, we card.
Okay, and how will you ensure that everyone is carding?
We, what they do is with our registers, it comes back when, say we scan the beer, it'll come back proof of age, so we have to scan the IDs.
You actually have to scan the IDs
Yes,
with your
we do.
machine. Okay, great. Another question asked, please describe in detail what training, policy, and procedures you intend to implement to ensure against underage sales. You have your response here just we card everyone. Could you please describe in detail the training, policy, and procedures
We
you
have videos through Speedway, and I want to say it's every 6 months. It might be even, shorter period. Everybody has to watch videos on that, and we also take tests. The test contains the liquor license and stuff like that, so we enforce that in the training with Speedway.
Okay, and are there any special policies or procedures related to ensuring that underage sales don't happen?
Yes. Our policy claims that we card under 40, well, it used to be, but now since that has changed, we still card, underage, and we still card, up to 100 years old. It doesn't matter on the age with Speedway.
Okay, so you card everyone regardless
Everybody,
of how old they
regardless
look.
of their age.
Okay, thank you. You were asked in question 7 whether you act as an alcohol agent for any other business or hold any other employment. You didn't answer that question.
No, I have not.
Okay. And I believe that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions for
I just
Mr.
have one quick one. So,
Mr. Levy?
I understand you card and you're going to card everyone who purchases alcohol, but consequences for individuals who do not card and you fail a sting or they sell to underage people. What is your policy on that?
Our policy right now with the carding policy that we have, if we do not card, it's automatically loss of job.
Okay.
So they're considering it as like a sting too, with, Speedway. But how their proceeding was, say a sting comes in and, they don't card or whatever, they automatically lose their job on the spot. If they do not card, say you, for instance, coming in there, if they do not card you, they will be terminated on the spot.
Just get out there.
That's good. He doesn't need it.
My oldest one was 97.
Did they go card me or something?
She says they card everyone.
I got it.
Hear that.
Yeah. I just want to make sure because we have several individuals that come down and they say we're going to card everybody. And I also said on the alcohol committee before, and we hear that over and over again, we're going to card everybody.
Our computers won't let us go past that point.
Okay, good.
Wonderful.
Okay, good.
Good software to have.
Thank you.
That's it.
I guess, Dave.
Any more questions for Mr. Williams? Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Levy,
I'll second that.
seconded by Duncan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0.
6E is a resolution approving a change of agent on a Class A beer and a Class A liquor cider-only license for Pilot Travel Centers. That's Pilot Travel Center 289, 3001 Milwaukee Road to Victoria Van Coulter for the license period ending June 30th, 2017, again for a staffing change.
Mr. Forrest.
Yes.
Run.
Yeah, you did
Push
turn
it again. Now you're on.
Thank you for being here in case we had any questions. I wanted to ask you, you gave very thorough answers. Thank you for that. There was one case, though, where you said that the videos and the training related to selling alcohol is required by your business during the first 3 days of employment. I wanted to make sure that they're not allowed to sell alcohol before they receive that training within those first 3 days.
Right. So the first 3 days they get trained with another cashier, so they're always with somebody else.
And they're not responsible then for selling alcohol at that point?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Mr. Levy.
I have to be consistent.
Go ahead, be consistent.
So just kind of, I think you heard the questions that I asked the previous applicant about what would happen if someone sells to underage people.
Right. So if they do sell to an underage person, they will be terminated on the spot. So to ensure that they don't, every day, it seems, because it's happened recently, unfortunately, our boss will remind us, card everybody when you're in doubt, make sure you ask for an ID, you're allowed if they want to throw a fit, it's the law, so always when in doubt, ask for an ID.
Okay, so then my follow-up question to that, and maybe is to the city attorney, I don't know where I want to direct this, but the last two applicants said they get fired on the spot. So I'm taking it that there's going to be a licensed agent there, so if they get fired on the spot, the business, will they have to close? Or, because I'm hearing that a lot, that they get fired on the spot, where if they're the only ones there and they
It would never be the only one there.
Okay.
There's always at least 2, sometimes 3, but like up to 5 people just for that side. And then there's always the Taco Bell side too, because it's a combined.
Okay.
Just so the council is
Everybody
aware, if a individual clerk may or may not have an operator's license, so they just have to be overseen by someone with a license. So it's highly unlikely at one of the C stores that you would just have that one person. But if in fact it was the only person there, and that they were no longer there, they would no longer be allowed to sell alcohol during the time there wasn't a licensed person on the premise.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Forrest.
Thank you. Actually, you're wrong. God. I'd like to take this opportunity to ask, is it because we've had this discussion now, is it possible that in the future that a city council could make it a condition as policy of granting a liquor license that we require the type of software that requires scanning of a card for a transaction to occur? Is that possible in the future?
We could explore options. I am familiar with a lot of the different softwares. They all can be overridden by the operator, so they're not going to be a guarantee that they are going to stop the sale. Most prevalently, they have vertical licenses for all that are under the age of 21, so that should be the key tip-off when they get that license. So we could explore the idea of doing that. You have to make sure that any ordinances or policies you have in place don't conflict with state law or make it more restrictive. So we do have to look into those things, but that's certainly an option.
That would be great if we could look into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCullough.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Duncan, seconded by Levy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Ordinances.
7A is a proposed ordinance to establish 2-hour parking time limit in Ironworks South parking lot. Flesh.
Mr. Flesh.
Thank you. The City of Beloit received a request from Andrew Yankee, our Economic Development Director, on behalf of the Hendricks Commercial Properties for this 48-stall 2-hour parking limit in Ironworks South parking lot. The new developments that are occurring within the area there are making it so that we'd like to make sure that there's enough parking to accommodate the existing customers for businesses in the area, including the relocating of the new Y for their associated members also. The DBA contacted the adjacent property owners, and all of the respondents were in favor of the change to the 2-hour parking. We would recommend that this be approved, but it's just a first reading tonight.
Thank you. Any questions? Go on to number 2.
We need a motion to lay this over to the November.
Even for first reading, okay. Is there a motion? Moved by DePoy, seconded by Levy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0 passes.
7B is a proposed ordinance to add signal locations to index of special locations at Gateway, Cranston, and Gateway, Collie. This is first reading also.
Mr. Flesh.
Thank you again. The City of Beloit has recently completed the signal upgrades at the intersection of Cranston and Gateway, and we're also in the process of installing new traffic signals at Collie and Gateway Boulevard. And in order to make the signals enforceable, they need to be listed on the index of special locations, and so we're asking that that happen tonight as a first reading, and we'll be back in 2-3 weeks.
Question,
Mr. Levy.
Just a quick question, Mr. Fuss. Why wasn't we don't do this when we put up signs? We just put the signs up and then come back later, or stop signs and.
Not normally. It's an oversight on my part. I forgot to bring it forward. I apologize.
Okay.
For the Cranston and Gateway one, and as we were reviewing the one for Collie, I go, well, it's not showing up on the list. We better do that.
Okay, I was just,
So I apologize for.
because I just remember it
missing
happening
that.
a couple times before when I was on council before that. In that instance, we took signs down and then we brought it forward for us to vote to take the sign down that was
There's a
already
whole
down,
lot of them
so-
out there that are missing.
Okay.
That it's a tremendous undertaking to clean up all the index of special locations, and we're trying to do it a section at a time.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Did I just hear you say there's a lot of them missing? Could you clarify?
Missing meaning that things have been removed, things have been added and updated, and these are probably from ancient times, so to speak, long before our starting, starting with the city over 18 years ago. So we're in the process of trying to verify. We've inventoried all the signs in the city, and now we have to verify from the inventory to what is currently for in the list of special locations.
Okay, so are you telling me that there could be some stoplights and stop signs that aren't currently indexed, and so we could have officers writing citations that are not legal?
There's always that possibility, but not a very remote one. Stop signs were pretty strict about, and traffic signals, again, we did our own internal review and realized we missed this one, so at Cranston and Gateway.
Okay, how soon do you think before you'll have the inventory completed and updated?
Inventory is complete. It's a matter of getting
Okay.
through all the other. I don't have a timeline on that at this point.
Okay, and then going forward, will there be a more regular review then?
We're hoping that once we have it done, it won't have to be gone back like this.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Is there a motion?
So
Moved by
moved.
DeForest, seconded by Levy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. C, please.
7C is a proposed ordinance to remove parking on the north side of West Grand Avenue adjacent to 715 West Grand Avenue. This is also first reading.
Thank you again. It's like my show tonight, this portion. The Traffic Review Committee voted on this 4-0 in favor of removing the parking on the north side of West Grand Avenue adjacent to the 715 West Grand. That's at the intersection of 8th Street, Brook Street, and West Grand. There was a building at that location, a kind of real neat triangular one that was in real bad shape and was removed. Upon the removal of the structure, we evaluated the site requirements for that location, for that intersection, and found that it would be best to have the parking removed on the north side of Grand to provide adequate sight lines. And we recommend that to be approved. And again, that'll be coming back for a second reading.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Levy, seconded by Duncan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. D, please.
7D is a proposed ordinance to remove parking on the south side of Public Avenue adjacent to 424 College Street. This is first reading.
This is location of Meals on Wheels, the 424 College Street. The Traffic Review Committee met on this and voted 4-0 in favor of removing the parking on the south side of Public Avenue adjacent to the 424 College Street. It is not a complete removal, but it's a no parking / loading zone from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. They originally requested it to be a complete removal, and then they realized that they couldn't have their volunteers come and pick up the meals during that time frame if it was completely no parking, so a loading zone was found to be most appropriate. Staff recommends that to be approved, but again, this is a first reading. I did note that the ordinance as submitted is missing the language for the time delineation of the no parking, and that'll come back with that adjustment made.
Congressman DeForest.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, as was talked about upstairs, but just for the public record, that an effort will be made to contact the adjoining neighbors here that use this street for parking, because I'm especially concerned about family services who uses this space for parking.
I didn't have that information with me this evening, and we will verify that prior to you coming back.
Thank you.
If I have a question, and just a quick question for you, and I see Shauna sitting out there as well, that when we're talking about changing the time limits, are we sure, and I guess Sheila just said, making sure that everybody knows? I get concerned because it seems like every 2 years we're down here, and I know we say it's our job to approve these, but it seems like every 2 years we're here saying put parking back here, or we had parking here before, now we're going to change it to 2 hours, we're going to change it to 4 hours, and it seems as though, which some people may say is a good thing, that if I'm a new business owner and I go down there and I need additional parking or I need 2 hour parking, that happens. But if I've been a long-term business person down there, am I getting the same treatment for consistency? Or it just seems as though we're changing the time limits a lot down there, and I don't want the public to be confused, like last year was 2 hours, now this year is no parking, and that's been a concern of mine ever since I've kind of been sitting down here. It seems like as though we're kind of flip-flopping every time we turn around.
Well, my understanding is that Shauna does contact the people in the central business district adjacent to those or in nearby proximity to the areas where the parking will be being changed and reports it back to us. She has a list of all the businesses and email addresses, and she handles that quite effectively and efficiently.
Okay. I can talk to her offline about my concerns. So, no, I'll talk to you later. That's all right. Okay.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Duncan, seconded by Levy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass 6-0.
7E is a proposed ordinance to establish time restrictions for terrace parking at 819 Clary Street. This is first reading.
Mr. Fleisch.
819 Clary Street is the new location of the Little Turtles Playhouse, Inc. It's a daycare center. The request was made by Shelley Cousin. She's a board member of that facility. The Traffic Review Committee reviewed this and voted 5-0 to establish a 30-minute parking in the terrace area there. from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays, so that'd be Monday through Friday. Terrace stalls will be only limited to the 30 minutes on the weekdays, like I just said, and it allows for the pickup and drop off of their patrons or students or children, however you want to call them. It does not impact the alternate overnight parking for this area because the time delineation is outside of those overnight hours. The parking in the terrace currently exists, and we recommend approval of this also.
Questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Moved by DeForest, seconded by Sloniker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Flesch.
Mr. President, I need to recuse myself.
Okay. During the appointments, Sheila will walk out.
The individuals named below have been nominated for a seat on the City Board, Committee, or Commission. Each nomination is subject to confirmation by the City Council. Approval of appointments will be accomplished by one motion unless a council member requests to take up a nomination separately, in which event the nomination will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. In the Board of Appeals, Dustin Gronow as second alternate to a term ending May 31st. In the Equal Opportunities Commission, Rose Richard replacing Marilyn Sloniker to a term ending June 30th, 2018. In the Landmarks Commission, Mary Ann Carroll replacing Steve Vollmer to a term ending October 31st, 2019. Chris Jacobson replacing Terry J. Kay to a term ending October 13th, 2019. Richard McGrath replacing Donna Johnson to a term ending October 31st, 2019. And in the Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Advisory Commission, incumbent Kristen Lower to a term ending September 30th, 2019, and incumbent Isaac DeForest Davis to a term ending September 30th, 2017.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Moved by Duncan, seconded by Sloniker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 5-0.
Mr. President, there are some vacancies still on other committees.
Please
There
read
is
those.
one vacancy for Tavern League Rep on the Alcohol Beverage License Control Committee. There are openings on the Appointment Review Committee, the Board of Review, the Community Development Authority, and one vacancy for a youth representative on the Municipal Golf Committee. There are always forms here at the City Council, and you're always welcome to come and see either the fourth floor Executive Assistant Pam or myself, and we'll get you connected.
Thank you. That's important for the public to know that there are openings, and we encourage the public to apply. And you can either see our city clerk or the executive secretary to the city manager on the second or fourth floors. Thank you. With that, city council activities. Let's have Sheila come on. Got to have you back because you're going to go first. So catch your breath and tell us about activities. Yeah, push your button. Okay. You're on, Sheila.
Thank you. All right, I was pleased to actually attend the Parks and Rec meeting as a resident and observe that meeting recently. I would like to congratulate Bagels & More for celebrating 20 years as one of our downtown businesses, quite an achievement, and really appreciate their continued investment and commitment to downtown Beloit. They're a wonderful family, and we're so pleased to have them in our community. I wanted to be sure to announce that this Thursday, October 20th at Atonement Lutheran, there will be another police community conversation, and really want to encourage you and especially to bring youth to attend this conversation. If you have any relationships with youth, we really want to have them there and be part of the conversation. So again, that's October 20th at Atonement Lutheran. I believe it's at 6:30? 5:30. 5:30, thank you, 5:30. On the 22nd, there is an Empty Bowl event, which is a fundraiser for Caritas, which is our Beloit food pantry. It will be held at the Castle, so a great place to have the fundraiser. It's beautiful there. And that is Saturday, October 22nd from 11 to 3. So I will be there attending that event. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Sloniker.
I was able to spend some time with Julie Christensen, learning a little more about the community development and all the great things that the staff are doing. And they're doing really good work. and I appreciate their work they're doing. And it was really good information provided. And then tonight there was a anti-bullying meeting that I was able to attend about a half hour before the meeting. A group of parents are getting together to look at options for anti-bullying in the school system.
Thank you. Councilor Duncan. You were on. Now you're on.
Okay. Along with my colleagues, I had an opportunity to attend the budget workshop on October 10th at the Beloit Public Library, and would like to thank City Manager Luther, the Budget Finance Director Eric Miller, and the department heads and staff for a wonderful budget presentation. I realize that it's not easy trying to make cuts while trying to keep quality services for our city of Beloit. That requires a lot of hard work. So I would like to say thank you on a job well done. And then I would like to give condolences to the Gotti family on the loss of their loved one. So let's keep Mike and their families in our prayer. Also, we missed Mark tonight. So if Mark is listening or looking at home, we just want to say get well and feel better. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hendricks.
I have nothing to add. I was going to mention the community conversation, but...
You just did.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bring young people.
Councilor Levy.
I have nothing.
You'll be talking afterwards to...
I'll be talking to Sean afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just very briefly, I was honored to attend with our city manager the activities at the First Baptist Church, their 175th anniversary the other day, and they opened a box that was put away in the cornerstone since 1929, and the first thing I saw was a Beloit Daily News, so you might want to check that out a little bit, Ryan.
That might have been under the Bible.
Under the Bible, yes. I saw the Bible first, I'm sorry. But the Daily News was there.
Under the Bible.
Yeah, never mind. Also, with our city manager, I attended on the other night the lager with the legislators, and we met with the young professionals, up-and-coming professionals, and interfaced and just talked with them about activities up and coming. And then earlier that evening, I was able to tour the beautiful Phoenix apartments that were put up downtown Beloit. It really enhanced the downtown, and they're gorgeous, and it just makes you proud to be part of Beloit, to see this continuing improvement to our infrastructure. I guess that's all I have for right now.
I do have something.
Go ahead, Mr. Levy.
I had to wait, to be last. Okay. So, actually, I was able to moderate with some of our legislators for the Youth to Youth organization, talking about tobacco use and alcohol use, and I know they're going to be coming forward to this body, asking us to support other cities who put together ordinances as it relates to parents or individuals who give parties to people with underage drinking at them. So they did mention that to me at that event, so they're going to be probably talking to the city manager and city attorney about putting together an ordinance on there, and they're saying several cities are taking this on. So I want us to kind of be aware of that, start thinking about if that's something that we want to pursue. So I guess at this point, Beth, if I can ask you, I know you're busy, just put that on your radar that it may be coming down this way or something. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that'll close the councilor's participation. City manager's presentation, there is none. So now reports from the boards and city officers.
11A is a resolution supplementing resolution adopted October 20th, 2003, authorizing the issuance and sale of approximately $13,450,000 in water system revenue refunding bonds, Series 2016C, and providing for the payment of said bonds and other details and covenants with respect to that.
Eric and Mike, you're on.
Thank you. So last month, council gave us the authority to seek bids to refund the 2007 water revenue bonds. Since that time, we worked with our bond counsel, Quarles and Brady, and our financial advisors, Ehlers and Associates. to prepare documents that enabled us to go out to the marketplace. And we have received those bids back today, and at this point, I will turn it over to Mike Harrigan from Mellers and Associates to go through the sale results.
Mr. Harrigan, could you share with us the good news, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Eric and council members. I'm very pleased to be here tonight to share with you the results of the bidding that we conducted on your behalf today. We did receive 3 bids from around the country, with the best bid coming from the firm Christensen, Shockey, and Early out of Chicago. They came in with a true interest cost of 2.5336%. They also offered to purchase this at a price over and above the face amount, which allowed us then to take that dollar amount and reduce the size of the issue. And so your final resolution today that's in your packet is at the amount of $12,555,000 instead of the original $13,450,000 that was originally set. That reduction in principal, along with the interest rates that are reflected in the sale day report that I provided to the council in advance of this meeting. On page 5, we have the results here that reflect the fact that with this new interest rate and the reduced principal, your total payments are going to amount to $2,073,000 less than what you were paying prior to the refinancing. So that's a savings annually of approximately about $175,000 per year for the remaining years through 2028. Because you get that over time, we also like to discount that to give you an idea as to what that's worth in today's money. And so that figure is $1,576,478. And that is net of all costs of issuance as well as fees. So that's a real savings to the ratepayers and taxpayers of this city. That is a direct reduction there. We did experience from the time that we had the interest rates estimated when we set this sale a month ago to today, we have seen an increase in interest rates generally. And the graph that's included in the back of your packet, and I apologize we don't have that for everybody to see, but it shows a definite spike in the rates. There's been not just a little under 0.5% increase in the last 30 days in terms of interest rates, and the trends are continuing upward. So it's good that you acted when you did. From a timing standpoint, it was very good. The bond underwriter that purchased the debt also purchased bond insurance to confer a AA Standard & Poor's rating on the bonds, so these bonds will have a AA rating. You also did receive your rating from Standard & Poor's that they came out with an A- with a stable outlook on your rating. That's a notch below where you were at an A level previously, but that's been addressed by the council previously through your, as was announced as part of your budgeting process. You have approved a rate case which will provide for an adjustment in rates going forward. So we're very happy that the council was able to experience this kind of benefit and savings. I think it's a positive story, and over $1.5 million is not a savings that communities generally realize on an ongoing and regular basis. So congratulations on that. If it's your desire to proceed with this, it's incumbent on the council to approve the resolution, the final resolution that's in your packet at the $12,555,000 level that I had indicated. This was prepared by your bond attorney today at Quarles and Brady. The resolution locks you into these interest rates as quoted by Hutchinson Shockey. It commits you to the making of the payments in accordance with that schedule, and it also commits you to providing ongoing disclosure to the bond marketplace in accordance with the IRS regulations.
I just want to repeat, Mr. Harrigan, for the public, by taking this action, we are going to be saving $1.5 million to the taxpayers of Beloit.
In today's dollars.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Forrest, you're on. You're on.
Thank you. I think adding to that clarification, just to make sure the public understands, I know sometimes, a water rate hike might not be seen favorably. However, the hike is directly in relation to the need for infrastructure equipment for the water system. And if we hadn't have taken that measure, we certainly have gotten a much lower rating, because then we're not showing good responsibility of our water enterprise, and so then we wouldn't have gotten such a good rating and such a good refunding results. So just want to make sure the public understands that sometimes we have to do these tough things because they really are in the city's best interest. So thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good point.
Any other comments? Is there a motion? Moved by Hendricks.
I'll second.
Seconded by DeForest. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Passes 6-0. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Regina, I think you're up.
Move to adjourn.
Moved to adjourn by Hendricks, seconded by Slanek. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.